Okay, we're live streaming now. So I'm just going to start with the introductions. My name is Geneva Blackmer. I'm the interim director for the Interfaith Center at Miami University. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that seeks to unify people through relationship building, dialogue, and social action. This is the fourth workshop within a 5-part series of religious and cultural literacy workshops, and we're very excited to be partnering with the Interfaith Council of Metropolitan Washington to make this available to all of you. We hope these workshops will help further our mission of reducing religious and culturally motivated bias and discrimination, as well as to create space for respectful dialogue, which cultivates appreciative inquiry and understanding. So again, we welcome you to the fourth session, and we hope you'll join us for our final session on November 10th, which can be accessed with the same Zoom link. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Simi.
Great. Thank you so much, Geneva. And welcome to everybody on this call. It's great to see all of you. I would first, of course, like to thank the Interfaith Center at Miami University for inviting us to come and offer this workshop today. My name is Simi Ram Reimer. I am the Associate Director of the Interfaith Council of Metropolitan Washington. I'm so glad that all of you are able to join us for our religious and cultural literacy workshop. Before we get started, I just want to briefly share with you a little bit about the IFC, and then I will turn the discussion over to my colleague, Anne Delore. So the IFC, or Interfaith Council of Metropolitan Washington, has been in existence for over 45 years. We are a regional-based organization, meaning that we primarily work in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And we are made up of 11 different historic faith traditions, including both the Abrahamic and Dharmic traditions. Our mission is to create spaces, opportunities, and resources for interfaith engagement in order to advance interfaith cooperation so that religious pluralism will thrive. We do this through a variety of public programs, such as group dialogues and unity walks, through interfaith partnerships with congregations, organizations, and local government, and also through local and regional initiatives, such as our religious and cultural literacy workshops. As Geneva said, this is the fourth in the series of 5 that we're doing with Miami University. And the fifth one will be around breaking down stereotypes. So we hope that you will join us for that final workshop in November. With that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Anne, who will talk more about what the plan is for today and the discussions we'll be having.
Thanks, Simi. And Geneva will begin sharing the slideshow now. So this workshop focuses on how we relate to religious and cultural beliefs and practices. It includes reflecting on and sharing personal stories about how religion and culture have shaped and moved us to live and act in the world. Our hope is that this experience today will deepen your understanding of yourselves and of the others in this program. So before we begin, I'd like to ask you to have a paper and pencil or pen nearby so that you can jot down some responses to questions that we'll be asking during the program. We'll be spending time both in the larger group, but also in small groups, sharing with each other our reflections and personal stories. And so we begin with just some ideas about why religion and culture shape our identities. And educators, writers, scientists, and world leaders have all pointed to the impact. Geneva, could you change slides? So we have just a number of quotes here that I'm going to ask you to take a look at. Let's see, did we lose the slide, Geneva?
I have it up. Can you not see the screen?
I don't see it on my screen. That's odd. Okay. Do others see the slides? Okay. I'm going to ask Simi then to read the first quote and then maybe pass it on to another person. I want to introduce some other voices as we take in these quotes. So Simi, after you read a quote, could you ask somebody else to read the next one? And we'll go through.
Sure, sure. So the first quote is, "None of us shows up as a blank slate to anything." Priya Parker, author, The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters. And then I will pass it to Becky Newland. If you could read the next quote. You are muted, though. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay. In the social jungle of human existence, there is no feeling of being alive without a sense of identity. Erik Erikson, psychological theorist. Anne, no, Anne. Cham?
Oh, Chaim. Yeah.
Chaim, sorry.
Chaim. Yeah, that's all right.
Chaim.
All right. My religious experience makes it possible for me to experience myself as a human being and thus keep a very real psychological distance between myself and the hostilities of my environment. Howard Thurman, educator, theologian.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And no more pictures. All right. Carol Glicksman.
Okay. If you don't understand yourself, you don't know anybody else. Nikki Giovanni. And I'm trying to think who else. Let's see, Victoria.
If you don't understand yourself, you don't know anybody else. Nikki Giovanni, poet, educator.
And then could you read the last quote as well? The national unity.
National unity, if it is to mean anything in the deeply personal sense, must be founded on confidence in one's own individual identity. Out of this can grow respect for others and a willingness to share ideas, attitudes, and assumptions. Pierre Trudeau, former Prime Minister of Canada.
Thank you all. So as we move into our first exercise, we can keep on our hearts and minds some of those voices. Simi, I'm going to turn it over to you for the first exercise.
Great. So the first exercise is where we're going to begin some self-exploration of religious and cultural identity and clarify how we see ourselves. There is up on the screen a list of words, and so we're inviting you to take about 2 minutes to choose 3 words from the list, either of the lists, that you most strongly identify with. At the end of those 2 minutes, we'll be putting everybody into small breakout rooms where you will begin to share those words and answer some prompts. So first, take the 2 minutes to choose your 3 words. So I see that there are some people who just entered the room. So what we're doing right now is we're inviting you to choose 3 words and write them down if you're able from the slide that is up on the screen right now. And then we're going to break up into small groups and have a conversation around these 3 words and also in response to other prompts. So we have about 30 seconds left.
So the idea is that these are words that you most closely identify with.
All right, so if everyone would just finish up what they're doing, and then Geneva, are you going to put everybody in the breakout rooms? Great.
So we're roughly going to have about 20 minutes. So we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to share who wishes to speak. And I'm going to put the prompts in the chat so that you'll be able to see them once you get into your small rooms. Please make sure that you introduce yourselves when you arrive in your room. See you soon. Are we all back?
Yep.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I know my breakout room had a very lively discussion, and we could certainly spend the entire program just having the discussion that we were having. And I wish we had time to share back in the larger group, but unfortunately, we are going to have to move on to our next exercises. Before we do, I just want to kind of reflect that, you know, in some spaces, reflecting and talking openly about culture and religion is uncommon and really can be uncomfortable. I don't know how it was for you. But when we share our personal stories related to our identities in a respectful way, it can be really grounding and liberating. To be known and seen by others in our community through this lens can really increase our understanding and appreciation for one another. Ultimately, expanding our awareness of our similarities and our differences can help to build a more inclusive, strong, and thriving community. So now that we've had a chance to clarify our own identities, we're going to begin to explore how the experiences and beliefs that make up our identity shape our interpretation of the world. So I'm going to show you an image. So Geneva, if you could change screens here. So the image that you see on your screen is a religio-cultural symbol that you might have encountered in the 1920s. So I'm going to ask you that based on who you are and what you see, I'm going to ask you to respond to a series of questions. And the first question we're going to share back in the larger group. The second 2 questions I'm going to ask you to reflect on personally and take some notes. And then again, we'll go into breakout rooms and you'll be able to share a little bit with each other around the second 2 questions. So the first question is, what do you see in front of you? And when I say see, I mean literally, what do you see? For example, I see a wall hanging. Does somebody else want to share what they see? Just factually, what is in front of you? Donna? Donna, you have to unmute yourself.
I see a swastika first.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to share what do they literally see in the photo?
Well, even visibly, it's very, very old.
Mm-hmm.
which tells me it was before the swastika became what it is to us moderns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
let's,
therefore, I don't see it as that. I see an
let's,
advertisement.
okay.
It
We're
actually
starting to get
reminds
into
me.
interpretation. So let's talk like literally.
Okay,
I
sorry.
see the word drink. Can someone else say something very concrete and specific
I
about the
see.
image
I see
itself?
5 cents on the image.
Thank you. Could
I
we have
see
one more?
Coca-Cola, but it also does remind me of the swastika as well.
Okay, we'll have time to talk about that. We'll have time to talk about our interpretations. I'll just add, I see something that looks like it's made out of metal. Okay. That might be enough then in terms of what we see without our lenses. Now we're going to talk about our lenses, and our next two questions will get at that. So the first question is, and this is something I'd like you to take some notes on, what would you say about the photo? And when I say that, I mean, like, what is the story that you tell yourself? What feelings do you have? What meaning do you give it? So take a minute or so and just jot some things down around that question. So the third question is, what do you think influences the meaning that you give to it? So, for example, what in your cultural, religious, or, other background experiences or belief systems would lead you to interpret the photo the way that you do? So again, if you could just jot down a few thoughts about that. And then in about a minute and a half, we'll move into some breakout rooms so you can share around those questions with others. And again, we'll have about 20 minutes in the small groups to share with each other. Let's make sure everybody has a chance to share. And since you'll probably be with a new set of people, introduce yourselves before you begin your sharing.
Do you want me to open the rooms?
I think we can do that now. Yes, let's do that.
Okay, will you put the question in the chat, the questions in the chat again?
Yes, I'll do that. Mhm.